What if the biggest reason you are not successful is not lack of talent or opportunity, but the way you think and delay action every single day? In this audiobook of Do It Today by Darius Foroux, you will discover how procrastination quietly destroys your progress and how simple mindset shift like taking immediate action, focusing on what truly matters, eliminating distractions, and building discipline can completely change your life. If you keep watching, you will learn practical lessons that help you stop overthinking, overcome perfectionism, manage your time effectively, and finally start building real momentum in your goals. This is not just theory. It is a step-by-step breakdown of how to move from delay to action and from confusion to clarity. If you have ever felt stuck, unmotivated, or trapped in procrastination, this audiobook is designed for you, and by the end, you will understand exactly how to take control of your time, your focus, and your future starting today. Procrastination is not just a harmless habit of doing things later. It is a silent destroyer of potential that slowly erodes your future without making noise. Every time you delay an important task, you are not just postponing work. You are training your brain to choose comfort over growth. Think about a student who keeps delaying studying for an exam, telling themselves they will start tomorrow. Days pass, pressure builds, and suddenly they are forced to cram everything at the last moment, leading to stress, poor performance, and regret. Or consider someone who dreams of starting a YouTube channel or a business but keeps waiting for the perfect time. Months turn into years, and they remain stuck in the same place, watching others succeed while wondering what went wrong. Procrastination creates a cycle. The more you delay, the more overwhelming tasks feel, and the more likely you are to avoid them again. It also damages your self-confidence because deep down, you know you are not doing what you should be doing. Over time, this gap between intention and action grows wider, leading to frustration, guilt, and even anxiety. The dangerous part is that procrastination feels good in the moment. It gives you temporary relief, but it always steals from your future. Imagine if you chose to act immediately instead, finishing small tasks on time, taking one step daily toward your goals, and building momentum. That small shift can completely change your life. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now that I know is important? What would my life look like if I stopped delaying and started acting today? The truth is, success is rarely about big, dramatic changes. It is about consistently choosing action over delay, even when it is uncomfortable. If you can master that, you take control of your time, your energy, and ultimately your life. Main points: procrastination is a hidden habit that slowly destroys your potential and future success. Delaying tasks trains your brain to prefer comfort over growth. It creates a cycle of stress, avoidance, and last-minute pressure. Procrastination lowers self-confidence and increases guilt and anxiety. Temporary comfort leads to long-term regret. Taking immediate small actions builds momentum and confidence. Actionable lessons: start with small tasks instead of waiting for the perfect time. Use a do it now rule for anything that takes less than a few minutes. Break big tasks into smaller, manageable steps. Identify your biggest distraction and actively reduce it. Ask yourself daily, what is one important thing I can do right now? Reflective questions: what tasks have I been delaying repeatedly? Why am I avoiding it? Fear, laziness, or perfectionism? How will my life improve if I take action today instead of tomorrow? What is the smallest step I can take right now to move forward? Taking action today is the single most powerful habit that separates people who only dream from those who actually achieve. The idea sounds simple, almost obvious, yet most people underestimate how life-changing immediate action can be. Every goal you admire, whether it's building a successful YouTube channel, getting fit, learning a skill, or starting a business, does not depend on one big breakthrough, but on small actions repeated daily without delay. Imagine two people with the same goal. One says, I'll start tomorrow, while the other says, I'll start now, even if it's imperfect. After a week, the difference is small. After a month, it becomes noticeable. After a year, it becomes massive. This is a compounding effect of action. When you act today, you create momentum, and momentum makes the next action easier. On the other hand, when you delay, you create resistance, and resistance makes starting harder every time. Think about a simple scenario. You plan to exercise. If you act immediately, even for 10 minutes, you build a positive identity. You become someone who follows through. But if you delay, you reinforce the identity of someone who avoids effort. Over time, your identity shapes your results more than your intentions ever will. Acting today also reduces fear and overthinking, because most fears exist only in your mind before you begin. Once you take the first step, clarity replaces confusion, and confidence starts to grow naturally. The truth is, you don't need perfect conditions, perfect knowledge, or perfect timing. You need action. So ask yourself, what have I been waiting to start? What excuse am I holding onto that keeps me stuck? What small step can I take right now, within the next 5 minutes? The power of your future is hidden in what you choose to do today, not tomorrow. When you consistently choose action, even imperfect action, you begin to take control of your direction, your habits, and ultimately your life. Main points: success comes from consistent daily actions, not big one-time efforts. Taking action today creates momentum, while delay creates resistance. Small actions compound over time into massive results. Your identity is shaped by your actions, not your intentions. Acting reduces fear and overthinking by creating clarity. There is never a perfect time. Action matters more than perfection. Actionable lessons. Start immediately, even if the action is small or imperfect. Use a 5-minute rule to overcome resistance and begin tasks. Focus on consistency rather than intensity. Build the habit of finishing what you start, no matter how small. Replace "I'll do it later" with "I'll do it now." Reflective questions: what is one goal I keep postponing? What small action can I take today to move closer to it? Am I waiting for perfect conditions that may never come? How would my life change if I took action every single day? Procrastination is often misunderstood as simple laziness, but in reality, it is a much deeper and more complex behavior. It is the act of knowingly delaying something important, even when you understand that this delay will create negative consequences for your future. It is not that you don't want success. It is that in the moment, you choose short-term comfort over long-term benefit. Think about how often you've opened your phone just to check one notification, only to find yourself scrolling for an hour while an important task waits untouched. Or imagine a student sitting at their desk, fully aware that exams are approaching, yet choosing to watch videos or chat with friends instead of studying. This is procrastination in its purest form, a conflict between what you know you should do and what you actually do. At its core, procrastination is driven by emotions, not logic. Tasks that feel difficult, boring, or uncertain trigger discomfort, and your brain naturally seeks to avoid that discomfort by switching to something easier or more enjoyable. Ironically, this avoidance only increases stress because the task doesn't disappear. It grows heavier in your mind. Consider a person who delays paying bills or responding to an important email. The longer they wait, the more anxious they feel, turning a simple task into a mental burden. Over time, this pattern becomes a habit, and habits shape your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who delays, someone who struggles to follow through, even though you are capable of much more. The key realization is that procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotional management problem. Once you understand this, you can start to change it. Instead of waiting to feel like it, you learn to act despite discomfort. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now, and why? Is it truly difficult, or am I just uncomfortable starting? What would happen if I took just one small step instead of waiting? When you begin to recognize these patterns, you gain the power to interrupt them. Procrastination loses its grip the moment you choose action over avoidance, even in the smallest way. Main points: procrastination is delaying important tasks despite knowing the consequences. The IT is not laziness, but a conflict between short-term comfort and long-term goals. The IT is driven by emotions like fear, discomfort, or boredom. Avoiding tasks increases stress and mental burden over time. Procrastination becomes a habit that shapes your identity. That IT is an emotional management problem, not just a time management issue. Actionable lessons: identify the tasks you are avoiding and understand why. Break tasks into smaller steps to reduce overwhelm. Take action even when you don't feel motivated. Limit distractions like phone usage during important work. Focus on starting rather than finishing everything at once. Reflective questions: what task am I currently avoiding? What emotion is making me delay this task? Am I choosing comfort over my future goals? What is the smallest action I can take right now? Procrastination doesn't happen because people are lazy. It happens because they are human. At its core, procrastination is a coping mechanism, a way for your mind to protect you from discomfort, fear, and uncertainty. When you face a task that feels difficult, boring, or overwhelming, your brain immediately looks for an escape, something easier and more enjoyable. That's why you might sit down to work on an important project, but suddenly feel the urge to check your phone, watch a video, or do anything else that gives instant relief. Consider a real-life scenario. A student has to prepare for an important exam, but the subject feels complex and intimidating. Instead of starting, they delay, telling themselves they will begin when they feel more ready. Days pass, anxiety builds, and the task becomes even more overwhelming. Or think about someone who wants to start a YouTube channel but keeps postponing it because they fear judgment or failure. They spend weeks planning, researching, and overthinking, but never take the first step. In both cases, procrastination is not about lack of desire. It is about avoiding uncomfortable emotions like fear of failure, fear of imperfection, or even fear of success. Another major reason we procrastinate is perfectionism. When you believe everything must be perfect, starting becomes incredibly difficult because you are afraid of making mistakes. So instead of doing something imperfectly, you choose not to do it at all. Additionally, lack of clarity plays a big role. When a task feels too big or undefined, your brain struggles to process it, leading to avoidance. For example, start a business feels overwhelming, but research one idea for 10 minutes feels manageable. The truth is, procrastination thrives in vagueness, fear, and discomfort. But once you bring clarity, break tasks into smaller steps, and accept imperfection, it begins to lose its power. So ask yourself, what emotion am I trying to avoid right now? Am I afraid of failing, or just afraid of starting? What would happen if I allowed myself to do this task imperfectly? The moment you shift your focus from avoiding discomfort to taking action despite it, you begin to take control of your behavior. Procrastination may feel natural, but it is not inevitable. And once you understand why it happens, you can start to overcome it. Main points: procrastination is a coping mechanism to avoid discomfort and negative emotions. It is driven by fear, overwhelm, boredom, and uncertainty. Fear of failure and fear of imperfection are major causes. Perfectionism often leads to inaction. Lack of clarity makes tasks feel overwhelming and easier to avoid. Procrastination is about emotional avoidance, not lack of ability. Actionable lessons. Identify the emotion behind your procrastination: fear, boredom, overwhelm. Break large tasks into small, clear, and manageable steps. Accept imperfection and focus on progress instead of perfection. Start with a small action to reduce resistance. Replace vague goals with specific, actionable tasks. Reflect your questions. What emotion is causing me to delay this task? Am I afraid of failing or just uncomfortable starting? Is this task unclear or too big for me to handle at once? What small step can I take right now to move forward? The psychology behind delay reveals that procrastination is not a flaw in your character, but a predictable pattern rooted in how your brain is wired. At any given moment, your mind is constantly choosing between two forces: immediate reward and long-term benefit. Unfortunately, the brain is naturally biased toward instant gratification. This means it prefers activities that feel good now over actions that will pay off later. That's why watching videos, scrolling through social media, or relaxing often wins over studying, working, or exercising. Imagine a person who plans to wake up early to work on a personal goal, but when the alarm rings, their brain immediately prioritizes comfort and sleep. In that moment, the long-term vision loses to the short-term feeling. This is not a lack of ambition. It is a neurological tendency. Another key psychological factor is the concept of temporal discounting, where future rewards feel less valuable than immediate ones. For example, the benefit of studying today for an exam next month feels distant and abstract, while the pleasure of entertainment right now feels real and tangible. As a result, people delay important tasks even when they know better. There's also the role of emotional regulation. When a task triggers feelings like boredom, anxiety, or self-doubt, your brain tries to escape those emotions by shifting attention elsewhere. Consider someone who needs to make an important phone call that could impact their career. Even though it is crucial, they might delay it repeatedly because it makes them nervous. Each delay provides temporary relief, reinforcing the habit of avoidance. Over time, this creates a loop where avoidance becomes a default response to discomfort. However, understanding the psychology gives you an advantage. When you recognize that your brain is wired to seek comfort, you can stop relying on motivation and start relying on systems and discipline. For example, Instead of deciding whether to work based on how you feel, you can commit to working for just 5 minutes. This reduces resistance and often leads to longer periods of focus. You can also design your environment to minimize distractions, making it easier to choose long-term benefits over short-term pleasure. Ask yourself, am I choosing what feels good now or what will benefit me later? What emotion am I trying to escape by delaying this task? What small action can I take despite this discomfort? The more you become aware of these mental patterns, the more control you gain over them. Delay is not a mystery. It is a habit shaped by your brain. But with awareness and action, it is a habit you can break. Main points: the brain prefers immediate rewards over long-term benefits. Temporal discounting makes future rewards feel less important. Procrastination is driven by emotional avoidance, not laziness. Delay provides temporary relief, reinforcing the habit of avoidance. Understanding these patterns helps you regain control over your actions. Actionable lessons: use a 5-minute rule to overcome resistance and start tasks. Focus on systems and habits instead of waiting for motivation. Reduce distractions in your environment. Break tasks into smaller steps to make them less intimidating. Take action even when it feels uncomfortable. Reflective questions: am I choosing short-term comfort over long-term success? What immediate reward is distracting me right now? What emotion am I avoiding by delaying this task? What is one small step I can take immediately? Fear, comfort, and distractions form a powerful triangle that keeps people stuck in a cycle of procrastination, often without them even realizing it. At the center of this triangle is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough, and sometimes even the fear of success. These fears are rarely obvious. Instead, they hide behind excuses like, "I'll do it later," or "I'm not ready yet." For example, imagine someone who wants to start a YouTube channel. They have ideas, they have the tools, but they keep delaying their first video. On the surface, it looks like procrastination, but underneath, it is fear of what others might think or fear that the video won't be perfect. To escape this discomfort, the mind turns toward comfort, activities that feel safe, easy, and familiar. Watching videos, scrolling through social media, chatting with friends, or even doing less important tasks suddenly feels more appealing because it provides instant relief. This is where distractions come in. In today's world, distractions are everywhere, carefully designed to capture your attention and keep you engaged. A simple notification can pull you away from meaningful work and trap you in a loop of endless consumption. Consider a student trying to study who checks their phone just for a minute and ends up losing an hour. That lost time is not just time. It is lost focus, lost momentum, and often increased stress. Over time, this cycle becomes automatic. Fear pushes you away from important tasks, comfort pulls you toward easy alternatives, and distractions keep you there. The dangerous part is that this cycle feels normal, even harmless, but it quietly prevents progress and growth. However, once you recognize this pattern, you can begin to break it. Instead of trying to eliminate fear, you accept it and act anyway. Instead of choosing comfort, you deliberately choose discomfort in small, manageable doses. For instance, if starting a big project feels overwhelming, commit to working on it for just 10 minutes. If distractions are your biggest obstacle, create an environment where they are harder to access, such as keeping your phone in another room or turning off notifications. The key is not to rely on willpower alone, but to design your actions and environment in a way that supports focus. Ask yourself, what fear is holding me back right now? Am I choosing comfort because it is easy, or because I'm avoiding something important? What distraction is stealing most of my time, and how can I reduce it? When you start answering these questions honestly and taking small actions despite discomfort, you begin to regain control. Fear will always exist, comfort will always tempt you, and distractions will always be available, but your response to them is what ultimately shapes your life. Main points: fear, comfort, and distractions work together to cause procrastination. Fear often hides behind excuses and delays action. Comfort provides temporary relief but prevents growth. Distractions steal time, focus, and momentum. This cycle becomes automatic if not recognized. Awareness is a first step to breaking the pattern. Actionable lessons: identify the fear behind your procrastination and acknowledge it. Take small actions despite feeling uncomfortable. Limit distractions by controlling your environment. Replace comfort habit with productive routines. Start with short focus sessions, 10 to 15 minutes. Reflective questions. What fear am I avoiding by delaying this task? Am I choosing comfort over progress? What is my biggest distraction right now? What small action can I take despite discomfort? Discipline over motivation is one of the most important mindset shifts in achieving long-term success, because motivation is unreliable, emotional, and temporary, while discipline is stable, structured, and powerful. Many people mistakenly believe they need to feel motivated before they can start working on their goals, but motivation often shows up only after action has already begun. Think about a student who waits to feel motivated to study. Most of the time, that feeling never comes, or it arrives too late when stress is already built up. Or consider someone who wants to start exercising. They wait for the perfect burst of energy or inspiration, but days pass without action. However, the moment they force themselves to go for a short walk or complete a small workout, something changes. The body warms up, the mind becomes active, and motivation starts to appear after the fact. This is a key truth. Discipline creates motivation, not the other way around. Imagine a writer who only writes when inspired. They would rarely produce anything meaningful. But a disciplined writer sits down every day at the same time, regardless of mood, and over time builds a body of work that inspired writers never complete. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It is about showing up consistently, especially on the days when everything in your mind tells you to stop. In real life, this shows up everywhere, in fitness, in studies, in business, and even in personal habits. The people who succeed are not always the most talented or motivated, but the ones who refuse to rely on feelings to dictate their actions. Instead, they build systems, routines, and non-negotiable habits. For example, if you decide that you will study or work for just 30 minutes every day at a fixed time, you remove the need to decide every day. That removes resistance and makes action automatic. Over time, discipline becomes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. The real danger of relying on motivation is inconsistency. You might work hard one day and do nothing for the next 5. But discipline ensures progress even when emotions fluctuate. So ask yourself, am I waiting for motivation to start, or am I willing to act without it? What would my life look like if I stopped negotiating with my feelings every day? What is one task I can commit to doing daily, no matter what? When you begin choosing discipline over motivation, you take control of your future instead of letting your emotions decide it for you. Main points: motivation is temporary and unreliable, while discipline is consistent and powerful. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Waiting for motivation leads to delay and inconsistency. Discipline builds identity through repeated actions. Successful people rely on systems and habits, not feelings. Consistency matters more than intensity. Actionable lessons. Start tasks even when you feel unmotivated. Build fixed daily routines to reduce decision-making. Commit to small daily actions, even 10 to 30 minutes. Focus on consistency rather than perfection. Create systems that make action automatic. Reflective questions. Am I depending on motivation instead of discipline? What task do I keep delaying because I don't feel like it? What daily habit can I commit to no matter what? How would my life change if I acted consistently regardless of mood? Creating productive habits is a foundation of long-term success, because your life is ultimately shaped not by one-time decisions, but by repeated behaviors that become automatic over time. Most people rely on willpower to get things done, but willpower is limited and fluctuates daily, which is why they often start strong and then slowly fall back into old patterns. Productive habits, however, remove the need for constant decision-making and emotional effort by turning important actions into part of your identity and routine. Think about a student who wants to improve their grades, but studies only when they feel pressure or panic. Their progress is inconsistent and stressful. Now compare that with a student who studies at the same time every day, even if only for a short period, over weeks and months. That small, consistent habit builds strong knowledge and confidence without overwhelming effort. Or consider someone who wants to become fit. If they rely on motivation, they might go to the gym once in a while. But if they build a habit of exercising for just 20 minutes every morning, it becomes part of their lifestyle rather than a difficult task they must force themselves to do. The key idea is that habits reduce friction. When something becomes a habit, you no longer negotiate with yourself. You simply do it. This is why habits are more powerful than goals. A goal might be get fit, but a habit is exercise every day at 7 a.m. Goals give direction, but habits deliver results. Another important aspect is starting small. Many people fail to build habits because they try to change too much at once. They decide to completely transform their life overnight, which lead to burnout and frustration. But small actions repeated consistently create powerful long-term results. For example, reading just 10 pages a day might not seem significant, but over a year, it becomes several books of knowledge. Similarly, writing for 15 minutes daily can eventually lead to a complete book or successful content creation career. The environment also plays a major role in habit formation. If distractions are easy to access, bad habits form quickly. But if you design your environment to support good behavior, productive habits become easier to maintain. For instance, keeping your study materials visible or placing your phone away while working can dramatically improve focus. Ultimately, habits shape your identity. Every time you follow through on a positive habit, you reinforce a belief that you are someone who takes action and stays consistent. So ask yourself, what habits are currently shaping my life without me realizing it? What small habit could I start today that would improve my future? Am I trying to change everything at once instead of focusing on small, consistent actions? When you begin building productive habits intentionally, you stop relying on motivation and start building a system that works automatically, even on your worst days. Main points: life is shaped by repeated habits, not one-time actions. Willpower is limited, but habits are automatic and consistent. Small daily actions create long-term transformation. Habits are more powerful than goals because they create results. Environment plays a major role in shaping habits. Habits build identity over time through repetition. Actionable lessons: start with very small habits that are easy to maintain. Create fixed routines for important daily activities. Reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad ones. Focus on consistency rather than intensity. Design your environment to support your goals. Reflective questions: what habits are currently controlling my life? What small habit can I start today without resistance? Am I relying too much on motivation instead of systems? How would my future change if I stay consistent for 1 year? The power of consistency is a quiet force behind every meaningful achievement. Yet it is often overlooked because it does not feel exciting in the moment. Most people are drawn to dramatic changes and quick results, but real success is built through small actions repeated consistently over time. Consistency is what turns effort into progress and progress into transformation. Imagine two people trying to learn a new skill, such as coding or content creation. One person works intensely for a few days, motivated and full of energy, but then stops when motivation fades. The other person shows up every day, even if only for a short period, practicing slowly but steadily. After a few months, the second person has developed real skill and confidence, while the first person is still starting over repeatedly. This is the hidden power of consistency. It compounds quietly in the background while others are distracted by intensity. Consider a student who studies just 1 hour every day without fail. At first, it may not seem like much, but over time, that daily habit builds deep understanding and reduces exam stress. Or think about someone trying to get fit. Going to the gym once in a while produces little change, but going consistently 3 or 4 times a week transforms a body completely over months. The key truth is that consistency beats intensity almost every time. Small repeated actions create momentum, and momentum reduces resistance. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to continue, because you are no longer starting from zero every time. You are building on what already exists. However, inconsistency resets progress. Every time you stop and restart, you lose momentum and have to rebuild discipline from scratch. This is why many people feel stuck. They are not failing because they lack ability, but because they keep breaking their own rhythm. Consistency also builds trust within yourself. When you repeatedly follow through on your commitments, you begin to see yourself as reliable, disciplined, and capable. But when you constantly break promises to yourself, confidence weakens and procrastination grows stronger. That is why even small actions matter. Writing 1 page a day, studying for 20 minutes, or exercising for a short time may feel insignificant, but these actions build identity and long-term success. The challenge is not starting strong, but continuing even when excitement fades. So ask yourself, what am I currently doing inconsistently that could change my life if I stay consistent? Am I starting and stopping too often to see real progress? What small action can I commit to doing every single day without fail? When you embrace consistency, you stop chasing quick results and start building lasting success that compounds quietly but powerfully over time. Main points: consistency is more powerful than intensity in achieving long-term success. Small daily actions compound into major results over time. Inconsistency resets progress and slows growth. Consistency builds discipline, identity, and self-trust. Real transformation happens through repetition, not burst effort. Progress is built quietly through steady action, not sudden effort. Actionable lessons. Commit to small daily actions instead of occasional big efforts. Focus on showing up every day, even with minimal effort. Avoid breaking your routine unnecessarily. Track your progress to stay accountable. Prioritize long-term consistency over short-term motivation. Reflective questions. What am I doing inconsistently that could change my life if I stay consistent? Am I starting and stopping too often to see real results? What daily habit can I commit to without fail? How would my life look after 1 year of consistent effort? Eliminating distractions is one of the most critical steps in overcoming procrastination, because distractions are not just small interruptions. They are powerful forces that quietly steal your time, focus, and energy every single day. In today's world, distractions are everywhere, designed to capture your attention instantly and keep you hooked for as long as possible. Think about how often you sit down to do something important, only to check your phone for a quick second, and suddenly you find yourself lost in videos, messages, or social media updates for an hour or more. Or imagine a student who plans to study for 2 hours but ends up constantly switching between study material and entertainment apps, never fully focusing on either. This constant switching does not just waste time, it breaks concentration, making it much harder to return to deep focus afterward. Every distraction resets your mental progress, forcing your brain to start over again and again. Over time, this creates frustration, stress, and a feeling of being busy but not productive. Consider someone working on a personal project, like starting a business or creating content, who keeps checking notifications or responding to irrelevant messages. They may feel like they are multitasking, but in reality, they are fragmenting their attention, which reduces the quality of their work and slows their progress significantly. The truth is that your environment plays a major role in your ability to focus. If distractions are easily accessible, your willpower will eventually fail because the brain naturally prefers easy rewards over difficult tasks. That is why eliminating distractions is not about trying harder. It is about designing your environment in a way that makes focus easier and distraction harder. For example, simply keeping your phone in another room while working, turning off non-essential notifications, or setting specific time blocks for focus work can dramatically increase productivity. Another powerful method is to clearly define your work session so your mind knows exactly what to focus on, reducing the temptation to switch tasks. The goal is not to eliminate every possible distraction in life, but to control your immediate environment so that your attention is protected during important tasks. Ask yourself, what are the biggest distractions pulling me away from my goals? How often do I interrupt my own focus without realizing it? What changes can I make in my environment to make distractions less accessible? When you begin removing distractions instead of fighting them, you free up mental space, improve focus, and create the conditions necessary for deep, meaningful progress in your life. Main points: distractions are not small interruptions. They destroy focus and productivity. Constant switching between tasks reduces concentration and efficiency. Most distractions are designed to capture attention and keep you engaged. Willpower alone is not enough. Environment design is essential. Removing distractions improves focus and work quality significantly. Controlled environments lead to deeper and more meaningful progress. Actionable lessons: keep your phone away while working on important tasks. Turn off unnecessary notifications during focus time. Use time blocks for deep work sessions. Create a distraction-free workspace. Focus on one task at a time instead of multitasking. Reflective questions: what distractions interrupt me the most during my day? How often do I check my phone without purpose? What changes can I make in my environment to improve focus? Am I protecting my attention or giving it away freely? Stop thinking and start doing is a powerful reminder that overthinking is often the biggest barrier between intention and action. Many people believe they are preparing for success when they spend hours analyzing, planning, and thinking about what they should do next. But in reality, they are delaying progress. Thinking feels productive because it gives the illusion of movement, but without action, nothing actually changes. Imagine someone who wants to start a business. They spend weeks researching ideas, watching videos, and planning every detail, waiting for the perfect moment when everything feels clear. However, that perfect moment never arrives, because clarity does not come from thinking alone. It comes from doing. Or consider a student who wants to improve their grades but keeps analyzing study techniques, watching tutorials on how to study effectively, yet never actually opens a book and starts practicing. In both cases, thinking replaces action, and time quietly slips away. The truth is that most problems are not solved in the mind but in action. When you start doing something, even imperfectly, you begin to learn what works and what doesn't. Action creates feedback, and feedback creates clarity. For example, someone who wants to create content online might feel confused about what to post or how to begin, but once they publish their first few videos, they quickly learn what their audience responds to, and their direction becomes clearer. This is why action is more powerful than endless planning. It turns uncertainty into experience. Overthinking also increases fear. The more you think about a task, the larger and more complicated it appears in your mind, making it even harder to start. But once you begin, the fear usually reduces because reality is often less intimidating than imagination. A person who delays making an important phone call might imagine worst-case scenarios for days, but once they finally make the call, they realize it was not as difficult as they expected. The key is to break the cycle of thinking by forcing action, even in small steps. Instead of waiting for the perfect plan, start with a simple version of the task. Instead of trying to do everything at once, focus on the first small action that moves you forward. Ask yourself, am I thinking too much and doing too little? What task have I been analyzing instead of acting on? What is the smallest step I can take right now without overthinking it? When you shift from thinking to doing, you stop living in theory and start building real progress in your life. Main points. Overthinking creates the illusion of productivity but delays real progress. Action is what turns ideas into experience and clarity. Planning alone cannot replace real-world execution. Fear increases with thinking and decreases with action. Small actions help break the cycle of overthinking. Progress comes from doing, not just analyzing. Actionable lessons. Start tasks immediately instead of overplanning. Focus on the first small step, not the entire process. Replace thinking time with action. Time. Accept imperfect action instead of waiting for perfect clarity. Use real-world feedback to guide your decisions. Reflective questions. Am I spending more time thinking than doing? What tasks have I been overanalyzing without starting? What is the smallest action I can take right now? How would my life change if I acted immediately instead of waiting? The 80-20 rule, also known as a Pareto principle, is a powerful concept that explains why a small number of actions often produce the majority of results in life. Yet most people ignore it and spend their time on low-value activities instead of focusing on what truly matters. The idea is simple but life-changing. Roughly 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. This means that not everything you do has equal importance, even though it may feel that way in the moment. For example, imagine a student preparing for exams who spends hours rewriting notes, organizing files, and watching revision videos, but only a small portion of that time is actually spent on active practice or understanding core concepts. In the end, it is a focused 20% of effort that leads to most of the marks. Similarly, consider someone trying to grow a YouTube channel. They might spend time endlessly editing thumbnails, tweaking titles, and researching tools, but only a few key actions, like consistently creating valuable content and understanding audience needs, actually drive growth. The rest is often just busy work disguised as productivity. The 80-20 rule teaches that not all tasks deserve your attention, and learning to identify high-impact activities is what separates productive people from busy people. Another real-life example is in business, where often a small percentage of customers generate most of the revenue, or a small number of products generate most of the profit. This pattern exists everywhere once you start looking for it. The real challenge is not understanding the rule, but applying it in daily life. Most people fail because they treat all tasks equally, giving attention to everything instead of prioritizing the few things that truly move their life forward. To apply this principle, you must constantly ask yourself what activities are producing real results and which ones are just keeping you busy. For instance, if you are learning a skill, focus more on practice and less on passive learning. If you are building a business or creating content, focus on actions that directly lead to growth rather than endless preparation. The key shift is moving from doing more to doing less of the right things. So ask yourself, What 20% of my actions are producing most of my results? What tasks am I spending time on that don't actually move me forward? What would happen if I eliminated the low-value 80% of my activities? When you start focusing only on what truly matters, you stop being busy all the time and start being effective in the areas that shape your future. Main points: 80% of results come from 20% of actions. Not all tasks are equally important or impactful. Most people waste time on low-value, busy work. High-impact actions create the majority of success. Identifying key tasks improves productivity and results. Doing less but focusing on the right things lead to better outcomes. Actionable lessons: identify your most productive activities and prioritize them. Eliminate or reduce low-value tasks. Focus on actions that directly impact your goals. Spend more time practicing than passively learning. Regularly review what is actually producing results. Reflective questions: what 20% of my actions are giving me most of my results? What tasks am I doing that don't really matter? Am I busy or truly productive? What would my life look like if I focused only on high-impact activities? Making quick decisions is a crucial skill that directly impacts productivity, confidence, and long-term success. Yet most people struggle with it because they overthink even the smallest choices until they become overwhelming. The truth is, indecision is often more damaging than making a wrong decision, because when you delay decisions, you lose time, energy, and momentum that could have been used for progress. For example, imagine someone who wants to start a fitness journey but keeps delaying the decision of which gym to join, which workout plan to follow, or which diet is perfect. Weeks pass in analysis, but no actual action is taken, and the goal remains untouched. Or consider a content creator who spends days deciding the perfect topic for their first video, constantly switching ideas, researching endlessly, and waiting for clarity, while other creators who simply choose an idea quickly and start producing content are already building an audience. In both cases, the delay in decision-making creates stagnation, while quick decisions lead to real experience and faster learning. The reality is that most decisions in life are not permanent. They can be adjusted, improved, or changed later based on results. However, people treat every decision as if it is irreversible, which creates unnecessary pressure and slows them down. A student choosing what subject to study, an employee deciding which task to start first, or an entrepreneur selecting an idea to test often spends more time deciding than actually doing. But clarity comes after action, not before it. When you make a decision quickly and act on it, you gain feedback from reality, and that feedback helps you improve your next step. For instance, someone starting a business may not know which product will succeed, but by quickly choosing one and testing it in the real world, they learn what works and what doesn't far faster than someone who stays stuck in planning. Another important idea is that delaying decisions increases mental stress. The longer you hold a decision in your mind, the heavier it feels, because unresolved choices consume mental energy in the background. This is why even small decisions, when postponed, start to feel overwhelming over time. To improve this, you must train yourself to decide faster by accepting that most choices are reversible and not perfect. Instead of aiming for the perfect decision, aim for a good enough decision that allows you to move forward. Ask yourself, what decision am I currently delaying that I can make right now? Am I waiting for perfect clarity instead of taking action? How much time and energy am I losing by not deciding quickly? When you begin making quicker decisions, you unlock momentum, reduce stress, and create a life that moves forward instead of staying stuck in endless analysis. Main points: indecision causes more damage than making imperfect decisions. Most decisions are reversible and can be adjusted later. Overthinking delays progress and reduces momentum. Action creates clarity, not planning alone. Delayed decisions increase mental stress and cognitive load. Quick decisions lead to faster learning and improvement. Actionable lessons: make decisions faster instead of overanalyzing. Accept good enough decisions instead of perfect ones. Start action immediately after deciding. Treat decisions as adjustable, not permanent. Use real-world feedback to refine your choices. Reflective questions: what decision am I currently delaying? Am I waiting for perfect clarity before acting? How much time am I wasting by not deciding? What would happen if I made this decision today and adjusted later? Overcoming perfectionism is one of the most important steps toward taking real action in life, because perfectionism often disguises itself as a positive trait while secretly becoming one of the biggest causes of procrastination. On the surface, wanting everything to be perfect may seem like a sign of high standards or ambition, but in reality, It often prevents people from starting at all. Perfectionism creates a mental trap where nothing feels good enough to begin. So instead of producing imperfect but real progress, people stay stuck in endless planning, editing, and overthinking. Imagine someone who wants to start a YouTube channel but never uploads their first video because they keep worrying about lighting, editing quality, script perfection, and how viewers will judge them. Months pass, and while they are trying to make everything perfect, others who started imperfectly are already building audiences and improving through experience. Or consider a student who delays submitting an assignment because they believe it must be flawless. They keep rewriting it again and again, losing time and energy, while a simple completed version would have been more valuable than a perfect but unfinished one. The truth is that perfection does not exist in real life. Everything meaningful is created through iteration, mistakes, and improvement over time. Even successful professionals, artists, and entrepreneurs do not produce perfect work at the beginning. They produce rough versions and refine them through feedback and practice. Perfectionism also increases fear of failure because when expectations are unrealistically high, even small mistakes feel like disasters. This fear creates avoidance, and avoidance leads to procrastination. For example, someone learning a new skill like coding or writing might avoid sharing their work because they fear criticism. But in reality, feedback is what helps them grow faster. The key shift is to understand that progress matters more than perfection. A finished, imperfect task is always more powerful than a perfect, unfinished idea. When you accept imperfection, you give yourself permission to start, learn, and improve. One practical way to overcome perfectionism is to set good enough standards instead of impossible ones. Instead of asking, "Is this perfect?" you ask, "Is this good enough to move forward?" Another approach is to deliberately allow yourself to produce imperfect first drafts, whether in writing, work, or projects, and then improve them later. The goal is to break the emotional barrier that says everything must be flawless before it can exist. Ask yourself, what am I delaying because I want it to be perfect? What would happen if I allowed myself to be imperfect but consistent? How many opportunities have I already lost because I waited too long? When you release the need for perfection, you unlock speed, creativity, and momentum, and you finally allow yourself to grow through action instead of remaining stuck in preparation. Main points: perfectionism often hides as high standards but causes procrastination. Waiting for perfection prevents action and progress. Real success is built through mistakes, iteration, and learning. Imperfect action is more valuable than perfect inaction. Fear of criticism increases when expectations are unrealistic. Progress matters more than perfection in real-life actionable lessons. Focus on good enough instead of perfect results. Start projects even if they feel incomplete or rough. Allow yourself to create imperfect first drafts. Improve work through feedback and repetition. Prioritize completion over perfection. Reflective questions: what am I delaying because I want it to be perfect? How many opportunities have I lost due to perfectionism? Would starting imperfectly be better than not starting at all? What is one task I can finish today without overthinking? Managing your time effectively is not about squeezing more tasks into your day, but about consciously choosing what deserves your attention and protecting your time from being wasted on things that do not move your life forward. Most people believe they are busy, but in reality, they are often just reacting to whatever comes their way instead of deliberately controlling their schedule. Time is the one resource that cannot be increased, paused, or recovered, which makes it more valuable than money or energy, yet it is often treated as if it has no limit. Imagine a student who sits down to study but keeps getting interrupted by messages, random browsing, and unnecessary breaks. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted but realize they have achieved very little. Or consider someone working on an important career goal who spends their best hours on low-value tasks like endlessly checking emails, scrolling through updates, or reorganizing work instead of focusing on deep, meaningful progress. In both cases, the problem is not lack of time, but lack of control over time. Effective time management starts with understanding that not all hours are equal. Your energy and focus are highest at certain times of the day, and those are the hours that should be reserved for your most important work. For example, if someone is most alert in the morning but uses that time for distractions or trivial tasks, they are unintentionally wasting their most productive window. Another important idea is prioritization. When everything feels important, nothing truly is. People often start their day reacting to small tasks instead of focusing on one or two meaningful actions that could actually change their results. A better approach is to identify the most important task of the day and complete it before anything else. This ensures that even if the rest of the day becomes chaotic, progress has already been made where it matters most. Consider an entrepreneur who spends the first hour of the day working on growth-related tasks instead of responding to messages or small administrative work. Over time, this habit creates significant progress compared to someone who stays busy but unfocused all day. Time management also involves learning to say no to unnecessary commitments, distractions, and activities that do not align with your goals. Every yes to something unimportant is indirectly a no to something meaningful. The real challenge is not filling your time, but protecting it. So ask yourself, am I using my time intentionally or just reacting to whatever comes my way? What are the top 1 or 2 tasks that truly matter today? Am I spending my best energy on my most important work or wasting it on distractions? When you start managing your time with intention instead of reaction, you stop feeling overwhelmed and start feeling in control of your life, because time stops controlling you and you begin controlling it. Main points: time is a limited resource and must be consciously managed. Being busy does not mean being productive. Not all hours of the day have equal value or energy. Prioritization is essential for meaningful progress. Protecting time is more important than filling it. Saying no to distractions creates space for important work. Actionable lessons: identify your most productive hours and use them for important tasks. Focus on the top 1 to 2 priority tasks each day. Start your day with high-impact work instead of low-value tasks. Reduce distractions like messages and unnecessary browsing. Learn to say no to non-essential commitments. Reflective questions: am I truly managing my time or just reacting to distractions? What are the most important tasks I should focus on today? Am I using my peak energy hours effectively? What can I remove from my schedule to make space for meaningful work? Prioritizing important tasks is one of the most powerful skills for achieving real progress in life. Yet it is also one of the most commonly ignored principles because people often confuse urgency with importance. In daily life, it is easy to fall into the trap of doing whatever feels most pressing in the moment, such as answering messages, responding to emails, or handling small requests, while the tasks that truly shape your future are continuously delayed. Imagine a student who spends most of their study time on revising easy topics that feel comfortable instead of focusing on difficult subjects that actually determine their final results. Or consider an employee who starts their day by clearing minor tasks and attending unnecessary meetings, while the most impactful project that could lead to career growth remains untouched. In both situations, the person feels busy throughout the day but makes very little meaningful progress. The core idea behind prioritization is that not all tasks are equal, even though they may demand your attention equally. Some tasks directly contribute to your long-term goals, while others only create the illusion of productivity. A powerful way to understand this is to imagine 2 types of work: tasks that move your life forward and tasks that simply keep you occupied. The challenge is that the second category often feels easier and more satisfying in the short term, which is why people naturally gravitate toward it. However, consistently choosing easy tasks over important ones leads to stagnation, even if you are constantly active. For example, someone trying to build a business might spend hours perfecting logos, adjusting website colors, or organizing files, while neglecting the core activity of reaching customers or improving the actual product. Over time, they realize that effort alone is not enough. It must be directed toward the right tasks. Prioritization requires clarity, discipline, and the ability to say no to distractions that do not align with your goals. It also requires understanding that completing one important task is far more valuable than completing 10 unimportant ones. A simple but effective approach is to identify the single most important task of the day and complete it first before anything else. This ensures that even if the rest of the day becomes chaotic or unproductive, meaningful progress has already been made. Another useful mindset shift is to constantly ask whether a task contributes to long-term growth or just short-term comfort. When you begin evaluating tasks based on impact rather than effort, your decision-making becomes much clearer and more effective. So ask yourself, what are the tasks I am currently prioritizing that do not actually matter? What is the one task that, if completed today, would make the biggest difference in my life? Am I spending my time on what is easy or on what is important? When you learn to prioritize correctly, you stop being controlled by urgency and start being guided by purpose. And that shift is what leads to meaningful success. Main points: not all tasks are equally important, even if they feel urgent. Busy work often creates the illusion of productivity without real progress. Important tasks directly impact long-term success. People naturally choose easy tasks over meaningful ones. Prioritization requires clarity and discipline. Completing one important task is more valuable than many small tasks. Actionable lessons. Identify the most important task each day and do it first. Focus on tasks that contribute to long-term goals. Avoid starting your day with low-value or easy tasks. Evaluate tasks based on impact, not effort. Learn to say no to distractions and unimportant work. Reflective questions. What tasks am I treating as important but actually not? What is the one task that would make the biggest difference today? Am I focusing on urgency or true importance? How would my life change if I consistently prioritize correctly? Deep work and focus represent the ability to concentrate without distraction on a cognitively demanding task, and it is one of the most valuable skills in a world where constant interruptions have become the norm. Most people believe they are working hard simply because they are busy, but in reality, they are often switching between shallow tasks that require little thinking and provide minimal long-term value. Deep work, on the other hand, is where real progress happens. It is a state where you eliminate distractions, enter full concentration, and produce high-quality results in less time. Imagine a student who studies while constantly checking their phone, replying to messages, and switching between topics. Even if they spend hours studying, their retention is low and their understanding remains weak. Now compare that with a student who studies in complete silence for one focused hour without interruption. That single hour of deep focus often produces better results than several hours of distracted effort. Or consider a content creator who spends an entire day editing videos while multitasking with social media, emails, and entertainment. Their progress feels slow and scattered. Meanwhile, another creator who blocks distractions, focuses for a few uninterrupted hours, and fully immerses themselves in the task produces higher quality content in less time. The difference is not talent or effort, it is depth of focus. Deep work requires creating an environment where distractions are minimized and attention is protected. This means turning off notifications, avoiding multitasking, and setting dedicated time blocks where your only responsibility is the task in front of you. It also requires training your mind to stay present, because in the beginning, focus feels uncomfortable due to withdrawal from constant stimulation. However, over time, the brain adapts and deep focus becomes easier and more natural. Another important idea is that shallow work, such as checking messages, attending unnecessary meetings, or constantly switching tasks, give the illusion of productivity but does not contribute significantly to meaningful outcomes. Deep work is what creates breakthroughs, skill mastery, and real progress in any field. For example, someone learning a new skill like coding, writing, or design will improve far faster if they dedicate uninterrupted blocks of time instead of scattered, distracted effort throughout the day. The key shift is moving from fragmented attention to concentrated effort. So ask yourself, how often am I truly focused without distractions? What tasks in my life require deep focus but are being diluted by interruptions? What would my productivity look like if I worked in complete focus for even 1 hour a day? When you begin practicing deep work, you stop being busy in fragments and start producing meaningful results with clarity and control. Main points: deep work is focused, uninterrupted effort on important tasks. Shallow work creates the illusion of productivity but limited results. Distraction reduces quality, speed, and understanding. Focused time produces better results than long distracted hours. Environment and discipline are key to maintaining deep focus. Deep work leads to skill growth, mastery, and real progress. Actionable lessons. Work in distraction-free time blocks. Turn off notifications during focused work sessions. Avoid multitasking and focus on one task at a time. Start with short, deep work sessions and gradually increase them. Train your mind to tolerate silence and concentration. Reflective questions. How often do I work without any distractions? Am I confusing being busy with being productive? What tasks in my life require deep focus but are being neglected? How would my results change if I practice deep work daily? Avoiding time wasters is one of the most essential skills for building a productive and meaningful life. Yet it is also one of the most overlooked, because many time wasters do not feel harmful in the moment. Instead, they often feel harmless, entertaining, or even slightly productive, which makes them even more dangerous. Time wasters are not just obvious distractions like social media or entertainment. They can also be disguised as small tasks, unnecessary meetings, constant checking of messages, or endlessly organizing work without actually doing the work that matters. Imagine a student who sits down to study but keeps telling themselves they will just check one video or just reply to one message, and suddenly an hour disappears without any real progress. Or consider someone who wants to build a career or business but spends most of their day switching between apps, responding to non-urgent notifications, and consuming content instead of creating anything meaningful. The illusion of activity makes them feel productive, but in reality, they are stuck in a loop of low-value actions. One of the biggest dangers of time wasters is that they fragment your attention, making it harder to focus even when you finally try to wake. Every interruption forces your brain to reset, which reduces efficiency and increases mental fatigue. Over time, this creates a pattern where you feel busy all day but struggle to achieve anything significant. Another subtle form of time wasting is perfection-driven tweaking, where people spend excessive time adjusting small details that do not meaningfully improve the outcome, such as endlessly editing a presentation, reorganizing files, or rechecking work that is already good enough. In real life, someone trying to grow a YouTube channel might spend hours perfecting thumbnails and titles while neglecting the actual content creation process, which is what truly drives growth. The key idea is that time wasters thrive when there is no clear structural boundaries in your day. Without intentional control, your attention naturally drifts toward the easiest and most comfortable activities. To overcome this, you must become aware of what is stealing your time and actively reduce or eliminate it. This can include setting strict limits on phone usage, scheduling focused work periods, or removing unnecessary digital and environmental distractions. It also means learning to recognize when you are doing something out of habit rather than purpose. Ask yourself, what activities in my day feel productive but do not actually move me forward? How much time do I lose to distractions that I do not even notice? What would my life look like if I removed just one major time-wasting habit? When you begin to eliminate time wasters consciously, you reclaim control over your attention, and with that control comes the ability to build real progress instead of just staying busy. Main points: time wasters are often subtle and disguised as productive activities. Small distractions fragment focus and reduce efficiency. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Perfectionism and unnecessary adjustments can waste significant time. Lack of structure leads to automatic drift toward distractions. Awareness is a first step to eliminating time-wasting habits. Actionable lessons: identify your biggest daily time-wasting habits. Limit phone and app usage during work hours. Set clear time blocks for focus work. Avoid unnecessary perfectionism in small tasks. Replace passive activities with meaningful actions. Reflective questions: what activities are consuming my time without real value? Am I confusing activity with productivity? How often do I get distracted without realizing it? What is one time-wasting habit I can eliminate today? Long-term thinking is the ability to make decisions today based on the future you want to create, rather than being controlled by short-term emotions, impulses, or discomfort. It is one of the most powerful mental shifts a person can develop because it completely changes how you respond to challenges, opportunities, and daily decisions. Most people naturally think in the short term. They want immediate comfort, quick results, and instant satisfaction, which is why they often choose easy actions that feel good now but create regret later. For example, imagine a student who chooses to relax and watch entertainment instead of studying because the exam is still far away. In that moment, skipping study feels harmless, but over time, those small decisions accumulate and lead to stress, poor performance, and missed opportunities. Or consider someone who wants to build a successful career or business but keeps prioritizing comfort over effort, thinking they will start seriously later. Months turn into years, and the gap between where they are and where they want to be keeps growing. Long-term thinking forces you to zoom out and evaluate your actions based on their future impact rather than their immediate comfort. It asks a simple but powerful question: will this help me become the person I want to be in the future? When you begin thinking this way, your priorities start to change. You start valuing discipline over convenience, consistency over shortcuts, and effort over excuses. For instance, someone trying to get fit might skip workouts when they feel lazy in the short term, but a long-term thinker understands that every skipped workout delays their transformation. Similarly, a content creator might feel discouraged when early videos get no views, but instead of quitting, they continue producing content because they understand that success compounds over time. Long-term thinking also helps you resist emotional decisions. In the short term, emotions can trick you into quitting, delaying, or avoiding important tasks. But when you connect your actions to a bigger vision, it becomes easy to push through discomfort. Another important aspect is delayed gratification, the ability to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. This could mean studying instead of relaxing, saving instead of spending, or practicing instead of giving up when progress feels slow. The truth is that almost everything meaningful in life, skills, success, health, relationships, requires time and consistency. There are no instant results for anything truly valuable. So ask yourself, am I making decisions based on how I feel right now or on what I want my future to look like? What small actions today will shape a better version of my life tomorrow? Am I sacrificing my future for temporary comfort? When you start thinking long-term, your decisions become clearer, your discipline becomes stronger, and your life begins to move in a direction that aligns with your true goals. Main points: long-term thinking focuses on future outcomes rather than short-term comfort. Most people fail because they prioritize immediate pleasure over future success. Small daily decisions compound into major life outcomes over time. Discipline and consistency matter more than short-term motivation. Delayed gratification is essential for meaningful success. Emotional decisions often lead to regret, while long-term thinking leads to growth. Actionable lessons: always ask how your actions affect your future self. Prioritize discipline over temporary comfort. Focus on consistency even when results are not immediate. Practice delaying gratification in daily decisions. Make decisions based on long-term goals, not emotions. Reflective questions: am I choosing comfort today at the cost of my future? What decisions am I making that my future self will regret? How would my life change if I always thought long-term? What is one action I can take today that benefits my future? Delayed gratification is the ability to resist the temptation of an immediate reward in order to gain a greater and more meaningful reward in the future, and it is one of the strongest indicators of long-term success in any area of life. Most people struggle with this because the human brain is naturally wired to prefer instant pleasure over delayed benefits, even when the delayed benefits are far more valuable. This is why people often choose to relax instead of working, scroll through social media instead of studying, or spend money impulsively instead of saving for something important. Imagine a student who has the option to study for an upcoming exam or play games for a few hours. In the short term, playing games feels more rewarding, but in the long term, studying leads to better results, higher confidence, and future opportunities. Or consider someone trying to lose weight who knows they should eat healthy and exercise, but instead chooses fast food and comfort eating because it gives immediate satisfaction. The challenge is that the benefits of discipline are not immediate. They take time to appear, while the consequences of poor decisions are also delayed, which makes it easy to ignore them. However, those small daily choices accumulate and eventually shape your entire future. Someone who consistently chooses short-term pleasure over long-term growth will eventually find themselves stuck in the same place, while someone who consistently delays gratification will build skills, discipline, and success over time. A powerful example can be seen in financial habits. Someone who spends all their income immediately enjoys temporary comfort, while someone who saves and invests builds long-term security and freedom. The same principle applies to learning, fitness, career growth, and personal development. Delayed gratification is not about denying yourself happiness, but about choosing a deeper and more lasting form of satisfaction over temporary pleasure. It requires emotional control, awareness, and a clear vision of what you want your future to look like. One practical way to develop this skill is to pause before making impulsive decisions and ask whether the short-term reward is worth the long-term cost. Another approach is to create systems that make discipline easier, such as setting goals, tracking progress, or removing temptations from your environment. For example, keeping distractions away while working or limiting unnecessary spending can significantly improve your ability to stay disciplined. Ask yourself, am I choosing what feels good right now or what will benefit me later? What habits are currently giving me short-term pleasure but long-term harm? What would my life look like if I consistently chose long-term rewards over instant gratification? When you begin mastering delayed gratification, you gain control over your impulses, strengthen your discipline, and gradually build a life that reflects your true long-term goals rather than your momentary desires. Main points: delayed gratification is choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. The brain is naturally wired to prefer instant rewards. Poor short-term decisions accumulate into long-term consequences. Discipline leads to success in health, finance, and personal growth. Instant pleasure often leads to long-term regret. Success comes from consistent disciplined choices over time, actionable lessons. Pause before making impulsive decisions. Ask if the short-term reward is worth the long-term. Cost. Remove distractions and temptations from your environment. Focus on long-term goals when making daily decisions. Practice small acts of discipline every day. Reflective questions. Am I prioritizing short-term pleasure over long-term success? What habits are harming my future while pleasing me now? How would my life change if I practice discipline daily? What is one decision I can delay today for a better future outcome? Taking responsibility is one of the most transformative mindset shift a person can make because it removes the tendency to blame external circumstances and places full control back into your own hands. Most people naturally look for reasons outside themselves when things go wrong. They blame their environment, their situation, their lack of time, their resources, or even other people. But this mindset keeps them stuck because as long as you believe your life is controlled by external factors, you will always feel powerless to change it. Taking responsibility means accepting that your current situation, whether good or bad, is largely shaped by your own decisions, actions, and habits. Imagine a student who fails an exam and immediately blames the difficulty of the paper, the teacher, or lack of time, instead of reflecting on their own study habits. Because they avoid responsibility, they repeat the same mistakes again. Now compare this with a student who takes responsibility and asks, "What did I do wrong? How can I improve my preparation?" That simple shift creates growth, learning, and better results in the future. Or consider someone struggling in their career who constantly blames their boss, their workplace, or bad luck, while never improving their own skills or productivity. They remain stuck because their focus is outward. Meanwhile, someone who takes responsibility starts learning new skills, improving performance, and actively creating opportunities instead of waiting for them. The truth is that responsibility is not about blaming yourself harshly, but about recognizing your power to change your situation. It is the understanding that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can always control how you respond. Even in difficult circumstances, there's always something you can do differently, no matter how small. For example, someone feeling stuck in life might start by improving their daily routine, building discipline, or learning a new skill instead of waiting for external change. Over time, these small responsible actions create massive transformation. The problem with avoiding responsibility is that it creates a victim mindset, where a person believes life is happening to them instead of through them. This mindset leads to helplessness, procrastination, and lack of action. On the other hand, responsibility creates empowerment because it forces you to focus on solutions instead of excuses. It shifts your energy from complaining to improving. Ask yourself, am I blaming external factors for my situation, or am I taking full responsibility for it? What part of my life could I improve if I stopped making excuses? What is one action I can take today to take control of my situation? When you start taking responsibility for your life, you stop feeling stuck and start becoming the active creator of your future instead of a passive observer of circumstances. Main points. Taking responsibility means owning your actions and outcomes. Blaming external factors keeps you stuck in the same situation. Responsibility shifts focus from problems to solutions. You cannot control everything, but you can control your response. Victim mindset leads to inaction and stagnation. Responsibility creates empowerment and growth. Actionable lessons. Stop blaming external circumstances for your situation. Reflect on what you can improve in your actions and habits. Focus on solutions instead of excuses. Take small daily actions to improve your situation. Develop a mindset of control over response, not events. Reflective questions. Am I taking responsibility or blaming others for my situation? What part of my life is within my control that I'm ignoring? How would my life change if I stopped making excuses? What is one responsible action I can take today? Continuous improvement is the idea that success is not a one-time achievement, but an ongoing process of getting slightly better every single day. And this small but consistent progress is what ultimately creates extraordinary results over time. Most people tend to focus on big breakthroughs or dramatic changes, but real growth rarely happens in sudden leaps. Instead, it happens quietly through small improvements that compound over time. Imagine a student who scores average marks and feels discouraged, thinking they need a complete transformation to improve. Instead of trying to change everything at once, they begin improving just one small habit, like studying an extra 20 minutes each day or reviewing mistakes after every test. Over time, These small improvements stack up, and their performance gradually rises without overwhelming effort. Or consider someone learning a skill like writing or coding. At first, their work may feel weak and incomplete, but instead of giving up or expecting instant mastery, they focus on improving just a little with every attempt. Each version becomes slightly better than the last, and after months of consistent refinement, the difference becomes significant. This is the power of continuous improvement. It does not rely on perfection, motivation, or talent, but on persistence and willingness to grow step by step. In real life, many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they stop improving after initial effort. They expect fast results and lose patience when progress feels slow. However, improvement is often invisible in the beginning. It is only after time passes that the accumulation becomes obvious. For example, someone trying to get fit may not see changes in the first few weeks, but consistent workouts and small dietary improvements eventually lead to noticeable transformation. The same principle applies to business, learning, relationships, and personal development. Another important aspect of continuous improvement is feedback. Growth happens faster when you are willing to learn from mistakes instead of repeating them. Someone who reflects on what went wrong and adjusts their approach improves much faster than someone who keeps doing the same thing without change. The key mindset shift is to stop comparing yourself to others and instead compare yourself to your previous version. Even a 1% improvement every day leads to massive transformation over time. However, many people get stuck because they believe improvement must be fast or visible immediately. This expectation leads to frustration and quitting. But when you understand that progress is gradual, you begin to appreciate small wins and stay consistent longer. Ask yourself, am I improving even slightly every day, or am I repeating the same habits without change? What small improvement can I make today that will compound over time? Am I patient enough to let progress build slowly? When you commit to continuous improvement, you stop chasing perfection and start building a better version of yourself step by step, knowing that every small effort today shapes a significantly better future tomorrow. Main points: continuous improvement is about small, consistent daily progress. Big results come from gradual accumulation over time. Most people fail because they expect fast results. Improvement is often invisible in the short term but powerful in the long term. Learning from feedback accelerates growth. Comparing yourself to your past self is more effective than comparing to others. Actionable lessons: improve just 1% every day in any area of life. Focus on small habits instead of big. Transformations: learn from mistakes and adjust your approach regularly. Track progress over time instead of expecting instant results. Stay consistent even when progress feels slow. Reflective questions: am I improving even slightly every day? What small habit can I improve today? Am I expecting results too quickly? How would my life change after 1 year of small daily improvements? The key lessons recap brings everything together into one powerful realization. Success in life is not determined by sudden bursts of motivation or rare moments of inspiration, but by a consistent pattern of small, deliberate actions taken every single day. Throughout this journey, one central truth keeps repeating itself in different forms. Procrastination is not a personality trait, but a habit that can be changed through awareness and action. Imagine looking at your life as a series of daily choices rather than a distant dream. A student who consistently studies a little each day slowly builds confidence and mastery, while another who waits for the perfect time keeps restarting without progress. A person trying to build a business or create a career may not see instant results, but those who continue showing up, even when no one is watching or rewarding them, eventually create something meaningful through persistence. Every concept discussed, whether it is discipline, consistency, focus, time management, or overcoming perfectionism, points toward the same principle. Progress happens when you act despite discomfort, not when you wait for ideal conditions. Think about someone who once struggled with productivity, constantly delaying tasks and feeling overwhelmed. The moment they began applying even one principle, like working without distractions or starting tasks immediately, their entire day started to change. Not because their situation changed overnight, but because their behavior changed. This is the real power of these lessons. They are not theoretical ideas, but practical tools that reshape your life when applied consistently. The difference between knowing these lessons and living them is action. Many people read or hear advice, feel motivated for a short time, and then return to old habits. But the real transformation happens when knowledge turns into behavior. For example, someone who understands time management but still wastes hours on distractions gains nothing. However, someone who applies even one rule, like prioritizing important tasks or eliminating distractions, begins to see immediate improvement in focus and output. The purpose of these key lessons is to remind you that change does not require perfection, it requires direction. Even imperfect action is enough to begin shifting your life forward. The real challenge is not understanding what to do, but consistently doing what you already know. So as you reflect on everything learned, ask yourself, what lesson am I ignoring despite knowing it is important? What habit is still holding me back even after I understand its impact? What is the one principle I can start applying today without delay? When you start living these lessons instead of just understanding them, you stop being a passive observer of ideas and become an active creator of your future. Main points: success comes from consistent daily actions, not motivation alone. Procrastination is a habit that can be changed through action. All productivity principles ultimately lead to one truth: act despite discomfort. Knowledge without action does not create change. Small behavioral changes create major life transformations over time. Applying even one principle can significantly improve results. Actionable lessons: choose one principle and start applying it immediately. Focus on daily consistency instead of perfection. Turn knowledge into action, not just understanding. Identify and remove one habit that slows you down. Practice discipline even when motivation is low. Reflective questions: what important lesson do I already know but still ignore? Am I applying what I learn or just consuming information? What small action can I take today to change my direction? How would my life improve if I consistently applied just one principle? Taking action today is the ultimate message that ties every lesson together, because no matter how much knowledge you gain, how many strategies you learn, or how many plans you make, nothing changes in your life unless you actually begin. Most people underestimate how powerful today really is. They keep postponing important tasks with the belief that tomorrow will somehow be better, more motivated, or more suitable. But in reality, tomorrow is just another version of today that carries the same choices, the same habits, and the same tendencies to delay. Imagine a student who keeps saying they will start studying from tomorrow, believing that a perfect moment will eventually arrive. Days pass, then weeks, and suddenly the exam is near. But the foundation is weak because no real action was taken when it mattered. Or consider someone who dreams of building a successful career, fitness transformation, or creative project, but keeps waiting for clarity, confidence, or motivation before starting. Meanwhile, time keeps moving forward regardless of their readiness. The truth is that action is what creates clarity, not the other way around. You do not think your way into a better life. You act your way into it. For example, a person who wants to start exercising does not need a perfect plan or ideal motivation. They simply need to start moving. Even a 10-minute walk today creates more change than weeks of planning. Similarly, someone who wants to build a business or creative skill does not need everything figured out. They need to begin with small, imperfect steps and improve along the way. Action reduces fear, breaks overthinking, and builds momentum. The longer you wait, the heavier your thoughts become, and the harder it feels to begin. But the moment you take even a small step, resistance begins to fade. This is why waiting for the right time is an illusion. There is no perfect time, only time that is used or wasted. The most successful people are not those who waited for ideal conditions, but those who acted despite uncertainty, discomfort, and imperfection. They started before they felt ready and adjusted as they moved forward. The key shift is understanding that action is not the final step of thinking. It is a starting point of progress. So ask yourself, what am I still postponing that I already know I need to do? What small action can I take right now instead of waiting? What would my life look like if I stopped delaying and started acting immediately? When you begin to take action today instead of tomorrow, you stop living in imagination and start building real results in your life, one small step at a time. Main points: nothing changes without immediate action. Tomorrow is not different from today unless you act differently. Action creates clarity, not planning or thinking alone. Waiting for the perfect moment leads to delay and missed opportunities. Small actions are more powerful than long periods of planning. Successful people act before they feel ready. Actionable lessons: start tasks immediately instead of postponing them. Focus on small, simple actions instead of perfect plans. Stop waiting for motivation or clarity before starting. Take at least one meaningful action every day. Build momentum through consistent action. Reflective questions. What important tasks am I still delaying? Am I waiting for the perfect time that will never come? What is one small action I can take right now? How would my life change if I acted immediately instead of waiting? And that is the core message of Do It Today by Darius Foroux. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop overthinking every decision and start taking consistent action today. Remember, procrastination slows you down. Clarity comes through action. Focus creates real progress, and small daily improvements build a completely different future over time. If you found value in this audiobook, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Visual Books, and share it with someone who needs to stop delaying their dreams and start taking action right now.